Why the Philippines is still a third world country. In this video, I will share with you the top 10 reasons why the Philippines is still a third world country. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of places in the Philippines where you thought you might be in some other countries like the Singapore or the US. But why the Philippines is still a developing country?
Number 10. Geographical Location.
The Philippines is an archipelago that consists of 7,600 plus islands, known for having beautiful beaches, active volcanoes, and breathtaking sceneries. The Philippines is one of the most natural hazard-prone countries in the world. The social and economic cost of natural disasters in the country is increasing due to population growth, change in land use patterns, migration, unplanned urbanization, environmental degradation, and global climate change. The Philippines is also prone to tropical cyclones due to its geographical location, which generally produce heavy rains and flooding of large areas, and also strong winds which result in heavy casualties to human life and destruction to crops and properties. Another consequences of being an archipelago is the lack of cell sites that resulted in a slow internet which affected businesses. Investors don't want to invest their money in fear that the return will be impossible. Not to mention, it takes about 8 months to get a permit for one cell tower.
Number 9. Politics and corrupt politicians.
No matter what is your political affiliation, there's always this 10% that will go against you no matter what you do, and 10% that will favor you no matter what you do. And that is the problem with politics. And the battleground is happening on the 80%.
President Rodrigo Duterte's supporters and his detractors got into a chanting match outside the Philippine consulate in New York. It's called the People's State of the Nation Address, a protest to counter President Duterte's own State of the Nation address on Monday. These loyal Duterte supporters say they showed up to counter the SONA protesters.
Kahit anong mangyari, kasama mo kami, mga kaibigan. Kami ang magtataguloy dito sa inyo. Napakilala namin ang inyong kabutihan.
Mga bayaran, anti-Duterte! Mga bayaran sila lahat!
Paano nyo nasabi binabayaran sila? Paano nyo nasabi na babayaran sila?
It's my own opinion.
So hindi based on fact?
No, it's my own opinion.
Have you noticed the politics in the Philippines? No matter what the current administration is doing, that 10% critics will try its best to destroy him to the 80%. This 10% opposition will do its best to destroy the reputation of the current administration. And their only purpose is to find fault and to say negative things about the current government. And it's vice versa.
Number 8. Corruption.
As a result of bad politics, corruption follows. Because of rampant corruption in the Philippines in the past, 70% of Filipinos are now suffering. More are struggling to put food on their table. Hospitalization can get you bankrupt due to failed health system. During medical emergency, you could get denied entry to the hospital if you don't have money. More have revolted the government by bearing arms, but done more harm than good. It hurt us more when two of the top most corrupt presidents are found in the Philippines.
Number 7. Poor education.
Corruption leads to poor education due to the lack of funds invested in proper education. The money that's supposed to go to proper education goes straight to the pocket of corrupt officials.
9-year-old Edmar and his younger brother Cedric don't know it, but they're breaking the law. Neither of them can read nor write, but instead of going to school, they spend their days scavenging to earn a living. There are tens of thousands of others like them, needing to help their families survive despite primary education being mandatory in the Philippines. Not that being in a classroom would give them much of one. Concerned educators say a lack of investment has hurt standards. The Philippines spends just 2% of its gross domestic product on education. The World Bank recommended amount is 6%.
There are certain areas where we have been unable to provide enough resources in terms of classroom and some of the basic resources for education, classrooms, textbooks, teachers.
19 million students are enrolled in state-run schools this year, but 42% are expected to drop out before graduation. For now, these pupils are some of the fortunate ones. They have a classroom and even a teacher. Many classrooms end up empty even on a regular school day. The lack of teachers has meant that when one is absent, there usually isn't a substitute available. Now what that means for the students is they have to either get split up into other classrooms that now become overcrowded, or they just don't bother to come in at all.
Louder, 6.
It doesn't help that teachers are not just underpaid but badly managed. Many go abroad in search of higher salaries, and quite a number of those that stay are made to teach subjects they haven't been trained for.
If people leave it to government and just hope they have the right thing, it will never be enough.
For Adisha De La Torre, education should be everyone's concern. His group, ENET, is pushing for reform and wants to fill in the gaps in the state system. One of their projects is to conduct classes with flexible hours so that those that have to work or are marginalized can still get an education.
If you start out in life already disadvantaged with poverty, and then you do not even have this supposed equalizer or a first chance, then obviously then your problem will be worse, no?
The Philippines spent just $138 on each of its school children in 2008. Only when that number rises and laws can be enforced will children like Edmar and Cedric be able to trade the scrapyard for the schoolyard.
Number 6. Lack of competitiveness.
As a result of poor education, due to corruption, from a bad politics, we have produced a lot of incompetent minds. This is a common scene every Sunday in one area in Hong Kong. Filipino domestic helpers enjoy their one day off from their tiring work week. Because of incompetitiveness, the job that most of our kababayan can find in and out of the countries are in the labor department. Our education system failed to produce critical and competitive thinking minds that can excel in this constant changing world. As a result, we hear a lot of disturbing stories of our fellow Filipinos. We have been exploited, taken advantage, beaten, raped, or even killed.
Hingi ko sana ako ng tulong kasi yung anak ng amo ko, pinakailang ginalaw ko. Tapos nagsumbong ako sa amo ko kagabi. Sabi niya, bakit daw hindi ko agad sinabi? Sa sobrang takot ko, natatakot ako magsalita. Dahil pagkatapos akong galawin ng anak niya, pinagbantaan ako na kapag nagsumbong daw ako. Nadala niya ako sa desierto at nagpapatay ni babaw niya ako doon. Ngayon, kinausap ko ng amo ko kanina umaga. Sinabi ko sa kanila lahat-lahat. Ang sabi pa ng anak niya kagabi, ako daw ang kusang lumapit sa kanya. Natutulog siya, nandun daw siya sa loob ng mailas. Ako daw lumapit sa kanya. Paano kung gagawin yun? Nasa sala ako, nagtatrabaho, naglilinis. At hindi ako tanga para ipain ang sarili ko sa kapahamakan. Ngayon, kinuwento ko lahat sa amo ko. Ang sabi niya, kung gusto mo umuwi, maghintay ka ng 2 buwan. Bibili kita ng ticket mo pero sarili mong pera. Dahil hindi mo pa natatapos ang kontrata, uwi ka na. Nagot ko siya, paano kung matatapos ang kontrata ko, nasa peligro na yung buhay ko. Paano kung magbuntis ako? Ang sabi niya, pagkatapos na 1 linggo, papacheck kita. Kung buntis ka, ipapatanggal ko at pauwiin kita. Kailangan pa bang maghintay pa ako ng 1 linggo bago makalis dito? Yung anak niya, drug addict. Kaya takot na takot ako. Gusto ko na nang umuwi. Ayoko na. Natatakot na ako. Wala pa naman ako hawak na pera pambili ng ticket ko.
Owiana Sulistia Ningsi was repeatedly beaten. The woman who did this to her also hit Tutiklastari Ningsi with the bamboo end of a feather duster and threatened to kill her if she told anyone. Baby Jane Alice was diagnosed with cervical cancer. A month later, she was fired from her job. These are just some of the cases that made headlines in Hong Kong and shone a light on the mistreatment of foreign domestic workers in the city. The majority of Hong Kong's foreign domestic workers come from Indonesia and the Philippines.
Number 5. Filipino mentality.
Because of rampant corruption, greedy politicians, failed educational system, lack of high-paying jobs, and very few critical thinking minds, Filipinos have given up the hope again. To just accept what is and what is not, to just go with the flow, to just say yes sir and no sir, to be okay, even if it's not okay.
Number 4. Rich and powerful.
We have seen a lot of good-hearted Filipino who have shared their wealth to the poor people. They look back where they come from and appreciate the blessing that God has given them. But when you enter into politics, every action that you do will be scrutinized and put into microscope. It is not anymore based on action and good works, but based on intention and motives. It is based on your integrity and your history. The rich want you to stay poor so they can take advantage of you. The powerful want you to stay uneducated so they can easily use you for their advancement.
Number 3. The power of media.
These Philippine media giants have been an integral part of every Filipino household. People have been well informed, found their dream jobs, well entertained, and even changed their life forever through their special programs. There are so many positive sides the media can offer. But with the level of mentality that the young Filipino have, media can be used as a weapon to deteriorate our morality and spirituality. The main affected ones are the poor, who rely their decision based on what media tells them. Teenage pregnancy have been rampant because of a TV show that influenced them while their parents work abroad. The word love is being transformed to lust, an impulsive decision. As a result of this, drug problem rises and dysfunctional families everywhere. The children are the most affected one, whom at their young age, they learn to survive in the street, and if not saved, will become criminals and major problem to the society someday.
Number 2. Religion and culture.
Another huge contributing factor why Filipinos are poor is religion and culture. Filipinos are very religious. Therefore, we are taught to be contented with what we have, that even in the schools, they teach us to be humble and be acceptable to what is there. And since we have been colonized by different countries, we have developed a culture that we are inferior to those who have fairer skins. This became a mindset of most Filipinos, to just smile and accept everything, even though we are already being hurt and taken advantage of, to just let God avenge us or let God handle it. We have so much faith that sometimes we forget that faith without work is dead.
Number 1. Brainwashed minds.
We Filipinos are brainwashed. We are brainwashed by the belief that the answer to all our problems are politicians. We are brainwashed by the oligarchs and powerful, by our very own religion and culture, our failed educational system. We are brainwashed by the belief that dark skin is inferior to those who have fairer skin. We are brainwashed, thinking that we can do nothing about it and there's no way to fight back.
Please give a message to your fans in the Philippines. There are millions of them.
I guess my message should be angry. I think you should get angry to fix things. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. So be more angry.
Be angry to fix things. There's a lot of things that needs to be done. The problem will not fix itself. It is us that need to get this right. See you in my next video.